At first we would have about 5 aeroplanes, and then we would have 9 aeroplanes. And then in the Farnborough of that year, 1958, because I joined them right at the beginning of 1958, by the time we came up to July, August time, when you're working up for Farnborough, which at that time was always the first week in September. And the boss, squadron leader Roger Top, remarkable man, absolutely remarkable man, test pilot, and did all sorts of things. Had 2 or 3 AFCs, I mean, brilliant.
Wow.
Very strong character. You didn't argue with him, but if you did the job, he would look after you, you know. He was very loyal to his, and we were very loyal to him. So he did all sorts of extraordinary things to make Treble One what it was. He built that from just being an ordinary aerobatic squadron, eventually became the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Squadron, rather like the Red Arrows are today. And we were still operational, but we did do half of our flying was formation aerobatics. And of course the big thing with that year was we went to Farnborough and we decided to do a big formation. Originally it was going to be 20 hunters doing a loop. Nobody had ever done that before, nothing like. And so it was going to be called Roger Top, was his name, so we were going to call it the Top 20, which at the time of course was a music thing. And then we tried doing 20 in various shapes, and it was quite difficult to do. So we changed it from having 5 in the front with 4 in line astern.
Right.
If you went round the loop in that formation, the back end would fall off because it's all just too difficult. So we had a frontage of 7, and then we put 3 aircraft in line astern. All right, 7321. Okay, so we stuck 1 more in the middle behind the boss. So the line behind the squadron commander was 4, and all the others were 3. So we had 22 aeroplanes. So what we did, we came across Farnborough at about, I suppose, 200 feet or so, pulled up for a loop, did this big loop round, came out the bottom, did another loop.
Oh, you did 2, right?
Yeah, it's what the people in the newspapers call a loop the loop. Stupid phrase. Anyway, that's what we did. We did 2 loops, and at the end of the second loop, we broke away, how many would it have been? 6 airplanes. So we ended up with 16 in a diamond shape. And then we pulled up, we did a roll, the diamond, and then we broke away another 7, ended up with 9, and then the 9 did a few manoeuvres, and then that broke away, ended up with 5, and so it was quite a complicated display. And in fact he really did a very good job on pleasing the public. I mean, he was a showman.
I can imagine that.
He
was a crowd
knew
pleaser.
exactly how to
yeah.
make people, and we never did more than 11 minutes, because if you go to a flying display and somebody goes on for 20 minutes or so, the crowd are sort of
ready to go.
They're fed up.
Yeah.
But if you do 11 minutes and then bomb bursts down, bomb bursts up, all gone, then that would be, they'd want more. I think that's what we always did. We always, wherever we went round Europe quite a lot, France in particular, doing these air displays, and we always finished when they wanted more.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very good thing to do. I think there are a few people in show business who need to know about that.
I agree. Well, yeah, I've seen a few pictures online, and they're just incredible. Like, I mean, it's you would never see that today. No way.
We were quite close together. I mean, the wings were overlapped by about that much, about half the wing overlap, and we did often get disturbance from the other aircraft. If you got into line astern, you could feel the exhaust from the chap in front on your tailplane.
Wow.
You could feel it bumping around, and so you know, but hang in there, and the more you did it, the better you got. And one of the interesting things was that we never ever failed anybody who joined us as an aerobatic pilot. And they weren't all specially selected. I mean, people would phone up and they'd say, somebody would pick up the phone and say, there's a Fred Grimes here wants to join us. Everybody knows Fred Grimes. Oh yeah, he's all right, he's a good chap. Yeah, he's on 66 squadron, I think, isn't he? Yeah, good bloke. So the boss would say, okay, we'll have him. and that's how I promise you, it sounds like a joke, but that is exactly how it was done. The people, and then when they turned up, they would just go into our training program, and nobody who was flying a Hunter was not able to do what we did.
Absolutely.
So although it was well thought of in the press and other places, what we did was what any Hunter pilot, pretty well any Hunter pilot could have done given the same kind of training. And that went, I did that for 3 years.
Must have been the highlight of your career.
It was, yes it was. I was quite a young man. I was 21, I think, 21 when I joined Treble One, and when I left I then went off to Central Flying School and became an instructor.
Mm-hmm.